Another interesting week for Oklahoma softball. They bounced back in Big 12 play in a way, winning a series over BYU, but they did drop game 2, circled back around a victory Tuesday night against Tulsa at Hall of Fame Stadium. What did they say? What happened? All of that and more coming up here on the OU Softball Show. Stick with us. Ryan Chapman back with you here on the OU Softball Show. And like I said, it was another fascinating week. The Sooners are officially number 2 in the coaches poll, the poll we use here, because of a loss on Friday. 9-4, Oklahoma falls to BYU. The Sooners bounced back on Saturday with the win, a good win against Tulsa in the midweek, but it was kind of a head-scratching loss for Oklahoma on Friday, much more like that Louisiana loss that we saw that snapped Oklahoma's win streak. It's the uncharacteristic nature of that. The Sooners, when they headed to Austin, 2-1 losses, and it became pretty easy. Looked at it, Oklahoma didn't cash in on what was going down in once they got runners on, couldn't string those clutch hits together, and you're just going, okay, was that a bad weekend? Was OU affected by the atmosphere? What was going down there? None of those questions on Friday at Love's Field. It was the simple fact that BYU out-hit Oklahoma 11-8. The Sooners had a couple of errors, and whatever OU went with in the circle, it didn't really work. You look at it, Nicole May gave up 3 earned runs. Kirsten Deal gave up 2 earned runs. Carly Keeney, 4 earned runs, 6 total there going down. It was one of those situations, or just the 4 earned runs, 6 hits. But you look at it, and what's going down is, okay, this is the uncharacteristic. We haven't seen these kind of losses from Oklahoma over the last 3 years as they've been on this string of national championships. You step back, usually you go back to Baylor a year ago. What was that? Another low-scoring game. Oklahoma's offense didn't get it done, but the pitching staff cruised. It didn't really matter what Patty Gasso did against BYU on Friday. The Cougars had a lot of success, which is huge credit to BYU. But you look at it, Oklahoma drew 10 walks on Friday alone. Double-digit runners left on base on Friday. Double-digit runners left on base on Saturday still, even as the Sooners were able to bounce back. That was a 7-3 victory. Kelly Maxwell only gave up some runs there at the end. Patty Gasso said she just wasn't feeling well physically. Didn't clarify it was an illness or what, but it sounded like that, and she kind of ran out of gas there toward the end of that game as Oklahoma ramps her up into more of the Friday-Sunday diet, or against BYU, specifically the Thursday-Saturday. But you look at it, and there's just a disconnect. How does Oklahoma see the ball so well to have 10 walks, but not well enough to deliver with that clutch hitting? And you wondered, is that the it that this team has been missing so far, at least through these last couple of weekends, the lack of clutch hitting? Asked Kinsey Hansen about that on Friday night after the loss. This is what she had to say.
You know, we were seeing the ball well. Like you said, we had a lot of walks. I mean, we had a lot of missed hits as well. We were popping the ball up a lot. We were swinging at change-ups, which is a little bit more uncharacteristic of us. We were also taking pitches that we usually hammer, which is also uncharacteristic of our lineup. So just being able to get that mentality back of what you've seen in the past years. I mean, don't get me wrong. Going forward, I don't think it's going to be a difficult switch. This turning point is not going to be difficult for us. But however, I think that when there is walks like that, there has to be swings to be able to back it up. So just being able to swing at the pitches that we want, being specific, is something that needs to be done for sure.
Patty Gasso later, in the context of the pitching staff, not necessarily the hitters, talked about if you freeze, that's where really bad mistakes happen. It's kind of if you want to make a mistake, make it happen at 100 miles an hour. It looked like that's kind of what happened against Texas. There were a couple of really hard-hit balls that just didn't leave the infield. Great defensive plays by Texas. That happens, and if you put enough of those into play, you're going to usually see good returns on that. That was not the case against BYU. On Friday, at least. Saturday, Oklahoma was a little bit more aggressive, but like we said, another contest of double-digit runners left on base. And it was just a little puzzling because you go all the way back to the Texas series on Friday. What did Oklahoma do so well? Mike White said it. They attacked early, and Texas actually studied Jada Coleman from Friday to Saturday and how aggressive she is. That's what Oklahoma was missing in that BYU series. You fast forward to Tuesday night against Tulsa. Offensively, you saw that aggression. Did they strand 3 runners in the first 2 innings? Yes, but that was more to do with some going after pitches, some nice defensive plays from the Golden Hurricane. And then Oklahoma finally opened it up in the 3rd inning, got 3 runs there. Big single, big double in the 3rd inning. And then the 6th inning, Sydney Sanders hits her grand slam. Tiare Jennings walks it off, all that. But the real star of the show Tuesday night was Oklahoma sophomore left-hander Kirsten Deal. The last 2 series against Big 12 foes, Texas and BYU, we've seen her primarily used in a relief method there as you had Kelly Maxwell getting the opening day and the series closer. The rubber match starts in each of those. Kirsten Deal's been left to the midweek last week against Wichita State, this week against Tulsa, and she has been absolutely sensational through 5 1/3 against the Shockers a week ago. Kirsten Deal had 9 strikeouts. It wasn't the strikeout numbers that really got Oklahoma fans excited on Tuesday night against Tulsa. It was the fact that, yeah, she had 4 strikeouts, but it was her first career no-hitter. A year ago, she contributed in a combined staff no-no, a 1-inning outing to string together part of a no-hitter against Kansas. But this was all Kirsten Deal. 6 innings, sensational work. The only 2 base runners allowed was a hit batter and then a catcher's interference. Otherwise, it was Kirsten Deal who was sitting back, trusting her defense. You had a great play from Riley Boone out in right field. You had an incredible full extension diving catch off a line drive from Alyssa Burrito that really kept that no-no intact. And Kirsten Deal doing what Patty Gasso preaches so much, that defense behind Oklahoma, if you trust it, if you just keep the ball in the park, Oklahoma's defense more times than not is going to get the job done, which sets up a really interesting last 3 weeks of the regular season for Kirsten Deal. For my money, she's been pitching the second best on the entire pitching staff behind Kelly Maxwell on terms of form of late. But does Oklahoma want to go a lefty Friday and Maxwell, a lefty Saturday and Deal, and a lefty Sunday back in Maxwell? When it comes to planning for a series, things like that, that's yet to be seen. But we asked Kirsten Deal a couple different times, is there a mental difference, a mental edge, a preparation difference between starting and relieving? This is what she had to say.
Yeah, just taking every opportunity at every moment and being present in it has helped me a lot. Just being being ready whenever my name is called. I don't know. I feel like I take it in as the same mindset, pound the strike zone, get ahead, and just whenever you pitch, take it pitch by pitch. So.
No issue starting, no issue relieving. Kirsten Deal biding her time, taking the opportunities as she gets it. That's great news for Oklahoma as they look to continue to build and ramp into the postseason. Still need to dial in, still need to have fewer runners left on base, need to be more clutch in those situations. Need to trust the process, as Patty Gasso says. We'll see. Only time is going to tell if Oklahoma can continue to deliver there. Still tops of the conference in total bases, home runs, batting, all that stuff, but got to cash in. That clutch hitting has been something that's been a no-doubter. That is there for Oklahoma all 3 years, the last 3 seasons. Need to see that pop up again. And Oklahoma should get an interesting test this weekend. Houston coming on in. You look at their offensive numbers, pretty similar to BYU, just a couple of points off it in terms of batting average, just a few home runs off of it in terms of home runs and home run hitting. So if Oklahoma's pitchers have another day like they had last Friday against BYU, Oklahoma could be in an absolute war as it comes to home run derby, stuff like that. Houston's offense should cause Oklahoma to have to be in those situations where they have to cash in on some clutch hitting. The difference is the pitching staff, bottom of the Big 12 in terms of ERA, bottom of the Big 12 in terms of home runs allowed. Patty Gasso touched on that, as well as her excitement for this Houston series in general after Tuesday's contest against Tulsa.
Well, I'm excited because 2 of those coaches are former Sooners. And so that's always, I don't know, there's pride from my side to see any of these guys go into coaching. So I'm excited about that. Houston has an offense. They can swing. They've been trained very well. They're a team that beat Texas and beat them legitimately. They've had a little bit of injury in their pitching department. And so that's where a little bit of their struggle is right now. But they're capable, like any team in the Big 12. As we're all learning, anyone could beat anyone at any time. So we have got to go in, take like catapulting off of this game into the weekend and start to trend upwards. And I thought tonight was a good chance to do that.
3-game set out at Loves Field, Friday, 6 p.m. We'll be there covering everything, all of your post-game video at the YouTube channel that you know and love, John Hoover Media, post-game stories, all that stuff. Just find me at _Ryan Chapman on X, formerly known as Twitter. That is the best place. You know the website, but go to find all your links there. Saturday, 6 p.m. We'll see weather touch and go with the spring game, with that. If there's any extra festivities on Saturday for Oklahoma and that softball program, we shall see. And then Sunday, supposed to close out at 1 p.m. On Sunday, not only do you get the post-game video, not only do you get the game story, as always, which will be the same on Saturday, but also the weekend wrap where I take a step back, basically half column, half analysis, whatever you want to call it, wrapping up the weekend, the main ideas, the big things we learned from Oklahoma and Houston as that fires off this weekend. Then Oklahoma will hit the road to play UCF, close out the season with Bedlam, and the regular season to be in the books. So time running out. Just 3 Big 12 series left starting this weekend with Houston. But as always, follow the entire crew. John E. Hoover on Twitter, _Ryan Chapman. For me, obviously, we got Bryce McInnes, we got Randall Sweet, we got Russ Lovelace. Tons of OU content from the spring game, spring football wrapping up this weekend, softball, all that fun stuff. It is your place to be. And join us next week, back to the Tuesday, Thursday without the midweek on the OU Softball Show. Be sure you're following Hoove's YouTube channel, John Hoover Media. Be sure if you like the show, give us a thumbs up, comment below your biggest takeaway from, Kirsten Deal's performance against Tulsa? What are your concerns with BYU? Love sifting through that, love reading those. Gives you a good feel of what the fan base is feeling here on the OU Softball Show. But like I said, 2 shows, Tuesday, Thursday. We'll talk to you next week.